Seems like every 2 months there's a brand new camera coming out. It's this one from Sony, or this one from Canon, this one from Nikon, this one from Panasonic. And I run into the same problem that you probably run into all the time. Which camera should I buy when I want to make videos for YouTube? Well, I got you covered. Let's start first by breaking everything down by budget. And for you, I'm gonna only break it down by 4 different ways. Under 500, under 800, under 1500, and over 2 grand. Okay, let's quickly break it down by the budget, because that's what's important, right? Starting with under $500. I'll say this, when it comes to spending your very first amount, and you have less than 200, you have less than 500, honestly, if you have less than 800, you may just want to use your smartphone. Honestly, this right here is going to get you just as good an image as any camera that's under $500. So if you already have a smartphone, or if you're using a smartphone, think about just picking up a few accessories that'll work with this. Like one, this wireless mic that I'm actually using in order to record this, I can plug into my smartphone and control the audio and everything and use it. Or you can, purchase this brand new Bluetooth microphone that you can connect into your iPhone or into your Android, no matter if you got Samsung or the iPhone, whatever you're using. I would highly recommend you doing that and save up to get a camera, either in the $700, $600, $800 zone, because those cameras are going to be significantly better than if you were to go and purchase, a camera that's, say $499 or $500, when your phone, they make phones nowadays that can blow those cameras out of the water. The next category is under $800. Now this is where you kind of start getting into the prosumer portable compact camera. I'm gonna break it down by just the 2 ones that I like. Now, Nikon, Panasonic released some great cameras. I'm gonna stick right now with Sony and Canon because, one, I'm a Canon guy, and Sony is probably the most popular one out in the market right now. You have the Canon R50. Runs about 600 bucks, but it comes with the lenses and everything, and you can shoot 4K with it, as well as a little flippy screen, so you can be like a vlogger. You can be like, I'm a vlogger, what? The one thing you start to begin to understand about shooting with Canon is you're gonna get these great flesh tones and great warm colors. The color science for Canon is renowned. It's been around, oh gosh, ever since, I wanna say 2011, where they're always talking about the color science and how everything looks great on the Canon right out of the camera. As for Sony, there is this one camera that everyone's been talking about. It's not brand new, but it's the comparison to the Canon R50. This is the Sony ZV-E10. Now this camera is great because it kind of captures all of the high-end stuff that you can get for over 2 grand, and they distill it down as much as they can into a camera that is super small and very portable. Now, one thing I love about this camera is obviously with Sony, you're gonna get that crazy autofocus, which is some of the best in the industry. And that's why I got my hand on it. I'm like, okay, do I want this one? Or do I want the Canon for the colors? Do I want the Canon because it's a 10-bit video recorder? Or do I wanna get the Sony because it has more lens options? Well, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of options there. Me being a Canon guy, I'm probably gonna hold out and get something a little bit more pricier than the R50. But the Sony ZV-E10 is a remarkable camera. I'm not even gonna josh with you, but down below I kind of give you more details in the description about the Sony camera and how it stacks up against the R50. Now let's look at under 1500. Now that is kind of the sweet spot where you're jumping from consumer to pro. It's kind of that middle ground for cameras. The Canon R8 or the Sony A7 C. Now the A7 C is an older camera, but it's kind of in that price zone so that you can go, okay, I'm looking at something in this under 1500 where the body is about $14.99, but you can get it actually a little bit cheaper, I think, on Amazon. I'll put a link down below for it. But the Sony A7 C camera is probably one of the top of the line prosumer cameras out there with plenty of lenses to choose from. Now, the R8 just came out last year from Canon. It is a great camera, probably the one that I would replace all of my Canon gear with that I have right now that I'm shooting this on. fantastically works with everything. It shoots in 4K, has a great autofocus setup, and it's smaller than the Sony camera. So you got these kind of competing heads. Which one would you choose? Well, that's totally up to you, but I do know that the Canon R8 is a brand new camera, has quicker autofocus feeds because it's a brand new camera. It hasn't been out as long as the Sony A7 C. But when you're thinking about that line of area where you're like, okay, when do I switch over to a better camera? Well, I would kind of start in that $1,500 zone, somewhere in there where you're gonna say, okay, I can take a camera and actually start doing weddings, start doing event photography, doing modeling, all that sort of thing. And you can really do it with either, shooting video for either one of these cameras, whether it's the Sony A7 C or the Canon R8. And now over $2,000. This is actually the pro cameras. This is where you go to get all the professional cameras, and I'm gonna lay it out for you for Sony and Canon. And obviously, Sony comes in with the A7 IV, which has been around for a little bit, but it is a fantastic high-end camera. A lot of my friends who are doing this professionally, whether they're shooting for weddings or whether they're shooting for commercial work, they will pick up this camera as their prosumer, top of the line camera because it's been around and it has so many different lenses that you can choose from with this particular camera. Granted, it's over $2,000. I'm gonna put it right there. There you go. That's how much you're paying for it. But listen, you're not gonna go wrong by getting yourself a nice Sony camera. Now, Canon, on the other hand, they just recently started coming out with a lot of the R series cameras, the R6, the R5. These cameras, full frame cameras, shooting in 10-bit as opposed to 8-bit, are fantastic cameras, and they come with these great crisp lenses, the R series, which are great lenses in and of themselves. RF cameras, they're great. I know Canon is kind of like amazing with these, but the only challenge that I've seen with a lot of consumers and a lot of people who are buying the cameras are, we need more lenses, guys. Can you open it up so we can get some more lenses? All of these cameras obviously are over that $2,000 mark. Obviously the R6 is, and the R5 for sure is, but you can't go wrong with any of these cameras. I mean, my gosh, they're all in great condition, and I think about this as I look at these cameras and their price range. If your business or if your organization or even if your personal brand is bringing in enough to support this kind of camera or two of these cameras, then you're in a great spot in order to continue to develop and produce great content. So no matter what your budget is, I think it's very important to understand, number one, the kind of camera that you want to use and what you're planning on using it for. Because like Peter McKinnon said in his video recently,
I don't really want to review cameras anymore because they're all awesome. So just like whatever you can afford, buy the best that you can afford, and that's probably going to be good enough if you have it with you and you actually try to learn it.
All the cameras are good. You just got to figure out the one that you have, the budget for, and to use it. But if you're looking at yourself and saying, I got the camera, how do I set it up? What do I do for YouTube? I've actually made you a video that will help you do that right here, right now. Go check it out right now on my channel. Click right there. You will not want to miss it because it'll help you jump into your next phase of YouTube production.